Hi, I'm Simone Forche. Welcome to lunch. Go ahead and grab the food that you need. We're going to get started just because many people, including myself, need to leave immediately because I have to teach right after this. So I want us to maximize our time with our guests today. So as I said, I am Simone Forche. I am a faculty member here in History and International Relations, and I am the director of the Griot Institute for the Study of Black Lives and Cultures. This is an unusual, it's not unusual, but this is a Griot event, but it's not like one of our typical speaker events. This is a very special event because it's a book launch today. So, and I believe our last book launch was in 2021 during the pandemic, and it was all virtual. So it's nice to be in person here with you all and that we can provide you a meal and an opportunity to commune here with each other. So this book series was founded by Carmen Gillespie, the late Carmen Gillespie, our dear colleague. And the book series is a set of publications, monographs and collections of essays, poetry and prose, exploring the aesthetics, art, history, and culture of African America and the African diaspora, as well as Africa itself. It's published in partnership with the Bucknell University Press, so we thank Suzanne, who's here today in the back, for getting this project through the pandemic as it began in the pandemic, and we have been moving through it until today. It's actually, you guys, so the Bucknell University bookstore is here to sell copies of the book, which is technically the book isn't being released until October 10th. So like, this is wow, and the author can sign it. And Michelle Lewis, the programs manager at the Griot, did an amazing job last week getting us these books very quickly, together with Rami at the bookstore, who did miracle work in order to have the book here present today. So we are very appreciative. So the Griot, for those who don't know, is a central figure in many West African cultures. And historically, the Griot had many functions, including as a community historian, cultural critic, indigenous artist, and collective spokesperson. And our author today even writes a poem or some prose about the idea of the Griot in their work. So borrowing from this rich tradition, the Griot Book Project series defines the Griot as a metaphor for the academic and creative interdisciplinary exploration of the arts, literature, and cultures of Africa, African America, and the African diaspora. Expansive and inclusive in its appeal and significance, works in the series will include academics, artists, and lay readers and thinkers alike. So we're happy to see that there's a mix of all of you here, some who are readers, some who are writers, students, community members, as well as faculty and staff. So to introduce our speaker, I will take the liberty and call her a community accountable scholar. I don't know if she'll agree with that. Dr. Mel Michelle Lewis is an academic, intellectual, multimodal, and multimedia artist, an environmental justice actor and activist, and a consultant. They serve as vice president for people, justice, and cultural affairs at American Rivers. Dr. Mel provides strategic guidance on social and environmental justice initiatives and creative visioning for the future of clean water for people and nature. We might really need people like this. I mean, we do, but you know, an election's coming. So rooted in the Gulf South's folklore, dialect, foodways, music, art, and landscapes, Dr. Mel's creative work explores nature, writing themes, and rural coastal settings through the lens of Black, Creole, and Afro-Indigenous knowledges. Raised in Bayou, La Batra, on the Alabama Gulf Coast, their multimedia projects and creative writing portraiture feature ancestral lands, generational lineages, and queer longings in frontline Gulf South communities. And we're thinking about them as the hurricane barrels through today. So Dr. Mel also is a lead coach and consultant with the Art of Change Agency and serves on the board of Orion Magazine, Nature and Culture, and Greens Realign. Recently, Dr. Mel was an affiliated researcher with Penn Program in Environmental Humanities at the University of Pennsylvania. And prior to joining American Rivers, Dr. Mel was associate professor and director of the Ecosystem Sustainability and Justice Program, co-founder of the Space for Creative Black Imagination, an interdisciplinary making and research institute, and chair of the Humanistic Studies Department, Maryland Institute College of Art. Previously, they chaired the Center for Geographies of Justice, the Women and Gender and Sexuality Studies Department, and the Africana Studies Department at Goucher College, as well as the Department of Ethnic Studies at St. Mary's College in California, the California one. Their forthcoming work, after this, we'll talk about today's work that's like coming out on the 10th, but there's another work in progress called Water Body, and it's a transdisciplinary narrative portraiture project that features Gulf South Afrofuturist nature writing, Bayou tableau, ancestral altars, celebrations of Black queer embodied knowledges, and remembrances of ritual. So it's a building upon the work that we're going to hear our guests read from today. So I turn it over. There's also people online, so we're going to also turn to them at moments, but what we'll do is have our guest will read, I believe, about three poems, but also meditate on them with you all. And then we'll open it up for question and answer. We'll try to give about 15 to 20 minutes for Q&A. Thank you. That's what I
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome. Wonderful to see you. And hey, y'all online. Great to see everyone. Just so appreciative for your hosting and this book launch here at Bucknell. So thank you so much for coming. I'll begin with a land and labor acknowledgement. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live. I recognize a continuing connection to land, water, and community. I acknowledge the Susquehannock, the Munsee Lapane, also known as the Stockbridge Munsee community now, the Shawnee, the Lenai Lenape peoples, and members of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. I honor all traditional custodians of this region. I pay respect to the Afro-descendants who tilled and labored on this land and who self-emancipated on these lands and rivers. I recognize continuing struggles for liberation in our communities. I acknowledge intentional congruences of settler colonialism and enslavement, as well as intentional acts of restoration through resistance and relationship. Passive acknowledgement is not enough to restore stolen lands and stolen people. May this statement be a part of the work to build reciprocity, solidarity, and restoration. I pay respect to elders and ancestors. Thank you. Great. All right, so let's begin by going to the Gulf South. I'll start with a praise song. This is a praise song for the road home. Road whose dirt is mixed with sand, washed out and restored, supreme way, overcome not by sea battle nor wind howl, when home becomes a wave. Road with low bayou bridges built on wood, then paved, then cemented in. O curve of mystery and oak revelation, path to immortal family portal. Road sacred east to west, sun and moon follow direction. When time has passed in cycles, remain and welcome the weary traveler. Road horseshoe crab process to honor with ancient crackle and claw. Winding power invite at first sight. The wave and joyous tear of mama. Road exalted by dolphins, the path mullet jump and worship. Divine route along the shore, lead me to my ocean front door. Yeah. Yes. So let's see. I think the most important part of this particular text is the narrative portraiture form. And so I'd love to introduce you to a couple of folk in the community of this particular text. And so I'd love to speak with you more about after, but let's meet the folk of BIOMYTHOGRAPHY BAYOU. So we're going to start with Catfish Mardi Gras Queen. You just like your daddy. This said and meant all kind of ways. 1, relations. They call me Junior, even though I got a brother. He go by Dubois. He call me Junior too. Dubois a blue heron. He regal and ready for Mardi Gras. He slick his hair and shine his shoes. He slow and pretty. He go out clean and he come back clean. He still and sharp. He like to see and be seen. He like to look, but don't touch. Dubois don't like no trouble. I's a steady oak tree. I's brown and green and taut. I's fixed and fine. I come and go with ghosts. I's magic familiar. I's Spanish moss in the breeze, and I ain't no lady. Ladies talk. They just say I'm trouble. They just say, girl, you better come give me some sugar. They just say, you just like your daddy. 2, lady friends. Tain't nothing wrong with lady friends. Folks around here know Miss Isidore and Ma Chevry all their life. They got, Red got a girlfriend too, a lady friend in town now. Tain't nobody know down this way, know or seen who it is yet, except Dubois, and he ain't saying nothing. He let Red wear his sport coats. She careful and fill up the tank. She shine the rims and the windows. He let her drive the Cadillac. She dry clean his jackets, and they both good at being friends and keeping confidence. Dubois don't like no trouble. Ain't nothing wrong with lady friends. Ma Chevry can fix on your boat for a Sunday dinner plate, clean your catch for a jar of fresh lemonade, repair and cast a net for a pecan pie. She just like her daddy too, Captain Chevry. Everybody know about that. Ma Chevry's lady friend is Miss Isidore. She sew gowns and drink wine. She sing French and drink wine and garden flowers and drink wine and pray rosary and drink wine and do hair and drink wine and root work and drink wine and make love and drink wine, and she don't cook nothing for nobody everybody know about that. Miss Isadora looking real good for her age. She sure like to flirt. When Ma Chevrie's out fishing, she say, I's a handsome woman. She say, I's just like my daddy. Miss Isadora like women, and she like mules, seasoned and dependable. Well, I ain't neither yet, and everybody know about that. Miss Isadora love Ma Chevry. Miss Isadora love her mules too, especially the one gave by her daddy. Black Magic Isadore been dead for at least 40 years. The mule is a good old boy. His name been Marion Anderson since the first day, and he don't mind one bit. Miss Isadore love Ma Chevry and Marion Anderson. She call them both Ma with the same tenderness. She love them both more than she could ever say to them, and everybody know about that. 3, Mardi Gras Kitchen. Miss Isadore, Dauphine, and the ladies carrying on in the kitchen, sewing gowns and pressing hair, kings and queens and courts and parades, balls all weekend long. Mass on Sunday, Mardi Gras gumbo, king cake on Tuesday. I ain't about to go nowhere up in there just like the Pope. I's just like my daddy. He don't go nowhere for nothing, except to visit lady friends and to a repast or a funeral of somebody humble, except blessing of the shrimp fleet. I ain't thinking about nobody's Mardi Gras, except maybe thinking about up under Dauphine gown and what she gonna wear. Well, don't nobody ask me what I know about that. Hurricanes and salt water under her slip. Ladies primping and fussing, can't find the parasol in the closet. Now, Miss Tillman say it better not be in the tool shed with the fishing tackle and the umbrellas. Mama dear get worked up. She say, parasol ain't no umbrella. She say, I like to see that daddy walking around in the rain with that lace trim I put on it. They all fall out laughing. Miss Isadore even spilled half her wine down her bosom. Mama dear can hear in her left ear a little. If she can get in a joke on daddy, she can hear a little bit more. She hear laughter, even though she don't hear nothing else she don't want to hear. I ain't going in that kitchen. They gonna poke fun at me and try to get me up in a gown just to see if I'm as pretty as I am handsome. They know it ain't right. Dauphine can just tell them yes, because she know about that. For Dauphine, I whispered to Dauphine through the screen door, latched with a hook from the inside. Psst, hey, pass me some moon pies off the counter. She sucked her teeth. She rolled her eyes. She latched herself with the hook from the inside. I asked, please. I say sorry. I mean it. She blushed. She winked. She grinned. She put her hands on her hips. She unlatched the door and she unlatched her smile. She told me, go on, check my crab traps. She put them down in the bayou with 2 chicken necks this morning. She gave me some half-melted moon pies out her pocket. She latched the screen door closed back. She latched her lips back. She turned her back, but she don't walk away. We still feeling through the screen. 5, Miss Katrina. Hey, yo, I got us some moon pies, Miss Katrina. I yell out to the bayou. Now, don't nobody think catfish can hear you talking, but that's just because they ain't tried talking to them. Catfish got ears, just about like ours, and plenty of sense, too. Hey, yo, Miss Katrina come out the mud slow. She swim to me and lift up her fin on her back. She float on her side and look at me with her 2 little blue eyes. It's the same 2 small blue eyes Miss Tillman's tubby brown baby got, and everybody know about that. Miss Katrina keep me company while I pull the traps and see what crabs we got to put in the Mardi Gras gumbo. They still dancing and fiddling and pinching each other over what's left of the chicken necks. Miss Katrina eat anything except what's on a hook. And Miss Valerie's potato salad, just like anybody who got sense and who got the will to live. Once I gave her some of that potato salad on a spoon, just to see. Miss Katrina spat. She went back in the mud over that, and she ain't come out till I gave her a quarter pound of baked shrimp to apologize. I named her after the storm when the bayou changed. That's when she came to stay in our bend in our yard. She is big and the color of Mama Dia's thigh when she hike up her housecoat high in the afternoon heat. I sink down in the bayou. I open the moon pie wrappers. Let me see, Miss Katrina. You like marshmallow, chocolate, or vanilla? Miss Katrina, catfish Mardi Gras queen. She like chocolate moon pie, too. Miss Katrina make kisses at me. She got long whiskers like Granddaddy Bo and his FOIA photo, and about as friendly. No teeth in they smile. Miss Katrina got on red lipstick like what my daddy got on him when he come home after kissing, and he don't know nothing about it. Eyes just like my daddy. This said and meant all kind of ways. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's do another praise song. And this one is interactive if you'll join me. So I'm going to do, then you're going to clap. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I'll go. Then you go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. One more time. There we go. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. This is praise song for Blue Crab. Crab S the dainty fiddler, crab mumbles and bubbles into the sea breeze. On many legs dancing, hastening to the taste of decay. Crab deep blue twists and folds, legs held tight to white underside into steel wire, delicious contraption. Crab who feasts and fusses, worry to death others as they pluck chicken neck from the mesh, win esteemed position, and pull the meat. Crab removed from trap, scuttle and pose, claws raised to the sun, an invitation to pitch. Crab in bucket, thrashing and scaling, kin beneath the window, hosting to freedom. Crab over the bucket lip, into the deck, over the side, splash of water sings. Crab claws are yours tonight. Thank you. Good job. Yes. All right. So now I'd like to read a piece called Ceasefire. And this is a post-Katrina landscape. And we're going to meet some more folks in the narrative portraiture style. Everybody got trash to burn. Pyro Bo come round every morning in an old rusty truck. He got gloves, a shovel, a wheelbarrow. He fine looking, like an old snapping turtle. He stocky, he wrinkled, he heroic. Just about every day, Pyro Bo come by, he explain it. Ain't no municipal pickup, you see. Ain't no other way, you see. I'ma take care of it for you see, for a small fee. It's good to explain things to folks, especially folks who got trash. Everybody got trash to burn. Pyro Bo wear heavy work gloves. Ain't nobody seen his hands to know if he really got any. Some folks whisper about his glove hands. Vietnam when he came back. Vietnam, how he came back. Vietnam, that he came back. Pyro Bo, take a cool glass of water with lemon or sweet tea if you offer him some. He obliged. Thank you very much. Pyro Bo, hold the glass with his thumb and forefinger and send it down and then sigh out a long ah. He don't take off them glove hands though. He real thankful. You know, we eat a biscuit or a tea cake too if and you offer him some. He'll take it, flip it off the salsa into his glove hand, and then open wide and flip the biscuit into his mouth. He chew and hand back the salsa. But he don't take off them gloves. Everybody got trash to burn. Once he got an old, full, rusted truck, Pyro Bo drive down to the docks. Kusa hear that truck growling down the drive and he clock out and take off in a sprint. Kusa like a back bay flounder. He free, he flat, and he funny. Kusa look like he got a long, luscious white Mardi Gras wig on, like the ones in the boutique window with the soft curls. It just grow out his head like that. Keep it so pretty. Pyro Bo and Kusa got a ritual. Pyro Bo pull up to the boat launch and he reach across the seat and roll down the window. He call out, "Hey there!" Kusa wave at him, fluttering his fingers real fast for a long time with one hand, and he hold up an ice cold can of Coca-Cola in the other hand from the corroded pier vending machine. Kusa get in the old rusty truck and offer Pyro Bo a cigarette from the pack in his shirt pocket. Pyro Bo smile and wink. Kusa smile and wink. Kusa lean across the seat and light the cigarette for Pyro Bo. They both got real nice teeth for their age and don't nobody know why. Pyro Bo lean back on the door watching. Pyro Bo take a few long drags, then hand half the cigarette back. Kusa finish it and flip it out the window. Pyro Bo pop open a cold Coca-Cola and hand down to Kusa, who gulp it down. Well, the top third. Kusa say, "Here, you want some?" Pyro Bo take a sip or two and wet his whistle. He like to let Kusa drink the rest. Pyro Bo peel out down the dirt road. Everybody got trash to burn. Pyro Bo and Kusa pull off the road. They live on Bayou Codin way back. They towed the FEMA trailer off the paved street a few years ago. Kept it. Lots of folks did. Pyro Bo explained, "Ain't no sense in doing right by FEMA, you see? It ain't even stealing the way they did us, you see? It ain't even supposed to be toxic, but it ain't no more toxic than every day, you see? It ain't nothing for me, you see?" Kusa do get nosebleeds sometimes, but he's playing. "I had those all my life on account of being high strung. Least that's how Mama Kusa would tell it." Kusa never miss a time to tell Pyro Bo what Mama Kusa used to say. Pyro Bo drive the truck out to the clearing where Kusa set up the 55-gallon drums he brought for Pyro Bo from off the dock. Before they get to unloading, Pyro Bo pull out a little trinket or a tidbit he set aside for Kusa. He hold it out with his glove hand clenched. Then he slowly open his fingers to reveal the treasure. Pyro Bo smile and wink. Kusa smile and wink. Kusa love it. Fix it, wear it, use it, make something for somebody with it. Something somebody just threw away. Everybody got trash to burn. Kusa helped Pyro Bo unload the trash into the 55-gallon drum. Pyro Bo pour himself a mason jar of gasoline. He douse, he light, he flick, with his glove hand. Kusa liked that part. He stayed for the lighting and then drive the truck back to the docks for clocking in. Pyrobo watched the burn. He stoke, he regulate, extinguish escaping embers. He paced slowly around the inferno in a circle like a shark, moving closer as the smoke shifts. A dance, a ceremony, a cremation. For all the things didn't nobody want, didn't nobody need no more. Everybody need pyrobodo, you see? Folks at war with their own refuse. Thank you. All right. One more short piece. This is called Storm Warning, and I'd like to dedicate this to all the folks who are having a hard time after a hurricane or who are preparing for another at this moment. Ain't Sally break the silence of our listening to dusk on the porch. She said the ancestors can tell when a storm's coming. Ain't Sally tell it from her weathered white rocking chair, propped up on faded satin pillows like a throne. It was over 100 degrees today, and it ain't cooled off much yet, but Ain't Sally pulled her knitted cap over her white egret feather head and got the quilt Mama Kusa made when she was just a little gal in her lap. The breeze off the bayou, barely just high enough to keep the mosquitoes from hovering over, but Ain't Sally ain't finna get no chill. Ain't Sally say, look at the clouds. They tell you what's coming. They high and mighty, and they can see all round. They know what's on the way, and sometimes they bring it their own self. The whole sky try to tell it if you looking and listening. What color is that sky? It got moods just like all beings. Sometimes sky wake up mad with fire. You got to know how to get ready. Ain't Sally point her spindly egret finger at the orange peak fading sunset. Sky showing it love us tonight. Ain't Sally close her peach cobbler eyes and lift her chin. She say, the air'll tell you what you want to know. Is it wet like breath out your mouth or dry like breath in your nose? The way the land is breathing is say what's coming. The land is breathing heavy like running, or is it breathing light like sleeping? The heavy get inside your teeth and behind your eyes and make you feel like underwater? Ain't Sally ask the old folks how they is. She rub her egret knees and run a hand up and down her thigh over the quilt. Old folk can tell from the way they insides feel if things are a-changing. Heavy air gets in the folding parts of your body and it make us move real slow. Ain't Sally clap her hands softly and open her eyes. She say, the birds can tell you. Sometimes they show you how they roost in the tree or fly low, or sometimes they change their song. They telling each other how it's finna be. Other times they all disappear and the air is empty. Sometimes a bird somebody who ain't supposed to be around come around. He always got a story to tell if you sit and listen. Ain't Sally laugh out loud. She light up her pipe again and lean back and rock a while. She say, bird ain't never lost. He just where he ain't supposed to be sometime, like men folk. She scrunch up her face and chuckle inside her soft, downy feather chest. She let out a smile of smoke. Ain't Sally rock in her chair a while and then say, them bugs know what about to happen too. Listen for their song. Old folks know all the meanings. Some of them mean good weather. Come give me some sugar. Some of them mean it ain't the right time on account of the weather. Silent mean everybody gone. They done dug underground or flew off. When ants work double time and the ant hills get tall, just you wait for a storm. Aunt Sally adjust herself on her throne. She pat her pillows and double her quilt over in her lap. She say, the fish and all the ocean somebody's got to tell it too. Ain't nobody hungry for the hook or the trap when the big storm's coming in. Ain't no crabs or fish or rays or nobody wet near the shore for days. Ain't nothing in the nets and everybody wet got to go way down deep in the water where it's quiet and just sit. Aunt Sally take a deep breath and open her eyes wide like a cat. She make her palms like she praying. Ancestors can tell the living about the weather if we just sit still and listen. Remember when it was on your heart to take in the laundry off the line on a bright sunny afternoon and the rain came up just as you was about to finish? Remember when you sprung a leak in the boat and spent half the day plugging it and then you was out of gas before you was even out the bayou and the lightning came a crashing and the water spout rose up just where you was about to go fishing? Remember when you was finna hitch the mule to a carriage and they wouldn't budge and you was finna knock his eyes out and then give him a whooping, but he bit your backside. Just as you came in for me to patch you up, the storm came and flooded the road and washed the bridge away and you would have been on it. Remember when you wasn't finna have no baby that day, but baby done came and you got carried up to your sister's house in town and a hurricane came and washed through the house and you would have been up in it? She light up her pipe again and lean back and rock a while. Remember? Aunt Sally break the silence of our listening to our night on the porch. She say, ancestors can tell a storm coming. Thank you.
Questions that are relevant and monitor the Zoom participants and see if they have questions. I can ask these questions there, but if since we have a short time, if anyone has a question right away, you need to think I'll ask my question. Question. Is the same person telling all of the story?
It depends. So this is really that shape-shifting, nonlinear, ancestral opportunity to imagine. And so in reality, in generations, many people are named the same thing, or we kind of can think of it in a linear way that way, or we can make sense of it knowing that there is a mama Kusa, and there is a Kusa, and there is a grandchild Kusa, and there is someone who's moving through these stories with the name that we recognize, but a context that differs or a time frame that differs. So it is an opportunity for you to explore who's who and what their relationship is, or might someone be the same being moving through. Yeah, thank you.
So as we were talking, I thought of a new question. My original question was gonna be to ask you if you could talk a little bit about the concept of biomythography and why you chose that as opposed to biography, memoir, or just a book of prose and poetry, or I even thought of it as like a history, like a poetic history. So you can answer that if you want, but yeah. Other questions you were talking was, how do you think people might use the book to, because you talk about it as if it's like a very personal story, family stories, but it does seem like it's a deep history of Indigenous and African relationships, the ways in which the government excludes Black people from, being counted as Indigenous, but then there's like things about Alabama in there that we learned.
Yeah.
That, it's the first Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
are there ways that you could see it being used as, and how do we distinguish like what the historical elements versus the family versus the mythology?
Yeah. No, excellent. And I think that that question is that question in a way is actually the answer also, where biomythography, thinking about Audre Lorde's format, you know, and the way in which you can take the historical, you can take your contemporary context, you can bring forward the sensuality and sexuality and identity, you can bring forward narratives of community. And in biomythography, that's the perfect format to kind of make that all exist in one space and place and narrative that you know, has citations and historical facts, quote unquote, but also has these narratives where perhaps we know that historical context and we can identify the parts of which are factual and are documented in a formal way. And then we are able to immediately disrupt that by telling a different kind of story that's probably not documented, or that's documented, but there's a flip side to that story. So that's one way in which using the biomythography as a format kind of offers an opportunity to disrupt narrative, and also offers an opportunity to really provide new ways of thinking or being in relationship or understanding. So yeah, that's really why I wanted to work in that medium, and also you know, provide enough context for the reader to understand what histories they're entering into. So that's a point of entry, and then provide this other opportunity to explore and get to know folks and have different kinds of experiences than what's perhaps normally documented. Yeah, thank you.
There's so many students here.
Yay, hi all. Yes, hi.
Hi, so I was wondering what your process is for getting into the voice.
Mhm.
Search based, is it more personal history? And then how to you come with a virtual class space?
Yes, often, and it appears in the text here, often it's actually dreaming. So that is one of my methodologies, and I'm so just graced to have that opportunity and be able to do that kind of work. So often it is dream work first. And then sometimes and my parents are on Zoom, hi. Sometimes, yeah, they're doing genealogy, and we arrive in a particular place with a new person or new information, and that becomes an inspiration. Sometimes it's remembrances, or I'm talking with my wife, Carrie, and we're saying, you know that old saying, did your parents say that? And so sometimes it's that kind of something gets unearthed. And so that's really the process. And in many cases, you know, that doesn't work on a writing schedule. When you're like, I need to finish this chapter, let me dream, let me, what is that ancestral message? So that is interesting and unique, but often that inspiration was a surprise for me, or it kind of, that character became from an ancestral storytelling, or an imaginary. The ancestral imaginary is kind of the terminology I use for that. Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Others? Yes, hi.
It's not really a question, it's just more of a comment, but
Please.
I liked in your last reading, how you're talking about, you know, like our ancestors knowing that when storms are coming and wildlife knowing when storms are coming.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really interesting because it kind of highlights the disconnect that we have with our environment. You know, it's like normally we can't tell when a storm is coming.
Yeah.
Our ancestors do.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you for that comment, and really thinking about that's in some ways the Afrofuturist that is also historical, so to historical memory or blood memory. So we've created all these technologies to, you know, this morning we're watching the hurricane that's inching its way, and we have all of that technology to understand it and see it. But there is this other ancestral way that is about the land and the water and all beings, being able to communicate that, and that we maybe in many cases just don't listen to it anymore, or don't know how. And so how do we reclaim those practices, and or at least, you know, incorporate them? So not that we don't want the technology, but we also might understand things differently and better if we were more engaged in the land and in the water's communication with those other beings that do know and can talk to us and tell us if we are listening, as yes, Mama Kusa is kind of saying. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Do you plan to do some site-specific readings, almost like as ritual or ceremony?
Yes, I love that. I do hope to. I think that would be really important for me in my work, but also just to, yeah, as an offering back. That's something that I do feel like I want to do. And I got to meet the Susquehanna yesterday on the drive here. So it is wonderful to be in relationship and, kind of give an offering back. So yes, I sure do. And I really look forward to that. Yeah, thank you.
Second reading so far.
That's right. Yeah, second time.
I mean,
For this, yes. Yes.
Mel, can you talk a little bit to this group and to the assembled folks on Zoom about the multimedia?
Oh,
of this
sure.
work? Why you chose the photos you chose, the recordings, there's obviously a brilliant theatricality to this work.
Yeah.
And that's the best sense.
Yeah.
So for those who might only have your book, how did you choose these other multimedia?
Thank you. Yes. Yes, the book has a voice, and so that's kind of I had to find a way to offer that. So I'm really grateful to the press for being open to that. And so the QR code is in the book, and it goes to audio recordings of the narratives. And there was a way in which I felt maybe folks weren't familiar with it, and I really wanted to write in vernacular, and I wanted to offer an opportunity to hear it. And so it was just necessary. So thank you for allowing that necessary element to emerge. And also in terms of ancestral altars, it also was really important to have that as a medium that is practiced alongside this writing practice, alongside this dreaming practice, alongside this, kind of ancestral imaginary. And so to put it in the book felt necessary as well. And a lot of the elements, and the book is arranged by elements on the Dagara cosmological wheel. So we are representing those and, making sure that that was almost an offering inside of the book to the sections also felt really important to, in the same way, if I'm to do a reading, site-specific reading, to give that as an offering. So placing that in the book in a way that, it was an ephemeral altar. So it doesn't exist anymore, but there's a photo. So that was a way to offer offerings inside of a text, which is really so beautiful. So thanks for the opportunity. Yes. Yes. I know you have class too. Go, thank you.
Still like,
And
and then but you're saying it's a narrative portraiture. To me, that's almost like maybe a portrait is also static, but I was thinking like something that was a dynamic.
Yeah.
Presentation of the personalities, the individuals, and so maybe more thinking about it, but I'm curious, how you saw the static versus the dynamic elements.
Yes. Well, I think that's true also when we're talking about the people or the communities, that it's a moment in time snapshot. And so that, you're right, that kind of is a static moment that's represented. But that is an alive and vibrant individual or community, whether it's factual or it's more of the ancestral imaginary. And so I do think, that static representation is also a portrait in many ways of those items and of that offering that reflects a personality or a time or a moment or a place. And so representing that on the page, I think it gives an opportunity to both be that kind of snapshot portrait, just like the text, but also take on a life as you're kind of looking at it. And even thinking of the one with the collard greens, to kind of say that those were alive, and then they have us the static moment participating in this offering, in this image, in this portrait. And then they're going to go back into the ground and decompose and you start all over again. So in some ways it's also a representation of something cyclical. Yeah, thank you. Yes, hi.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing this wonderful work that I had the honor of being one of the early readers on.
Good.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I'm really glad you brought up about dialect.
Mm.
Because back when Audrey and Jewel Gomez and all
Yes.
Black living women were writing back in the 70s, there was a whole roundabout about the controversy of dialect writing.
Yeah.
Because there was that struggle with, or the debate around whether it is a reclamation
Mhm.
of how folks talk.
Yeah.
Or whether it is a sort of a surrender to how folks were depicted as talking.
Mhm.
And that depiction signified a deficit.
Right.
Language.
Mhm.
So how did you come to
Yes.
making your, like doing your expression of dialect?
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, I love that question, and that certainly was a conundrum, and I was working it out on the page, so there's a little section where I'm trying to work through some of that. But really, yes, absolutely. Thinking about that literary history, and even, if we think about Harlem Renaissance writers kind of poo-pooing this idea, and Zora Neale Hurston's Barracoon being, what it took till 2018, 90 something, is just published posthumously, in part because of dialect and her commitment to that. And that is how Kojo sounded, and that is what happened, and she was representing it. And so I did not want to, I needed AAVE, African American dialect, to, because the sound is the life of it. And so to kind of say, oh, okay, but I'm gonna write it in standard English, that is the colonial project. And so no, I wanted to disrupt that. And knowing that not only the way things are written in dialect, but also writing about people as animals, Black people as animals, and writing about descriptions with food. And, we know these things become taboo and become problematic. And also, what do you do when that shape-shifting ancestor actually is represented by an animal? Or what do you have to surrender that because it became colonized and then became problematic? Or can you kind of, go back around the circle there? And so that, that cosmological wheel circle was one way to kind of harness it and take it back up with questions. And I think even as I, read and perform, is there a way in which this is authentic? I haven't lived at home for a very long time. And so I sound different, but I'm calling on it from where I can call on it from. And so, yeah, there are those questions of representation, in terms of the dialect, in terms of descriptions and those types of things. So I really appreciate that question. And I'm not sure that I got there, but grappling with it was really important. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yes.
I'm curious about how this sounds to people.
Yes, we'll find out. So, let's see. Hi. We will find out. So I'll report back on that. But I'm hopeful, and I have gotten some feedback, just cousins and my generation of folks having listened to the audio recordings and kind of for it resonating. And so I don't know, also they might be like, ha ha, I'm poking fun too. So we'll have to see. Thank you. Yeah.
Another comment, I lived in South Louisiana.
Oh,
so
yes.
It felt right, like the way that
Thank
you spoke and the way that you addressed it and narrated everything. It made it resonate more and more accurate.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so grateful for that feedback. Yes, thank you so much. Great. All right. Yeah.
There are books available, and you have them signed if you want to purchase a book. I want to thank Mel, and I wish you the greatest luck on all your readings and the furtherance of this book launch.
Thank you.
Move around the country with them. So
Thank you so much, Simone. Yeah, we appreciate all. Thank you. All right.
I'm so happy to have you.